Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Final Edition. South Korean officials say the nation's Vice Minister of Finance died today from injuries sustained in Sunday's bombing in Rangoon, Burma. The death brings to 17 the number of South Koreans killed in the explosion. Defense Secretary Weinberger is among thousands in Seoul for state funeral services, which began with a one-minute wailing of sirens nationwide. Former U.S. arms negotiator Paul Warnke says the U.S. and the Soviet Union will never reach an agreement dealing just with intermediate-range nuclear missiles. He told a Portland, Oregon audience the Soviet threat to pull out of the talks if U.S. missiles are deployed in Europe doesn't make that much difference, because talks on the total strategic balance should follow. The first of 25,000 people Nicaragua says it evacuated from its major port because of a rebel attack are reported returning to their homes. Nicaraguan rebels said they carried out Monday's attack in Corinto, which the Nicaraguan government says damaged 8 tanks holding gasoline, diesel oil, food, and coffee beans. The fire reportedly was brought under control today. NASA officials remain puzzled by a fault in one of the Space Shuttle's booster rockets during the last launch at the end of August. The agency decided today to continue preparing for Columbia's October 28th launch, but not to commit the shuttle and its cargo until the potentially disastrous fault is understood. Delaying the launch beyond November 5th will affect the European Space Lab program. More on those tapes that supposedly show slain model Vicki Morgan, the late millionaire Alfred Bloomingdale, and government officials involved in sex acts. 2 lawyers defending the man accused of killing Morgan say they have 3 witnesses who say they saw 3 such videotapes. Another lawyer, Robert Steinberg, faces a charge of filing a false police report because he claimed in July he had seen and in fact had possession of those alleged tapes. The North Dakota Public Service Commission began its hearings today on Northwestern Bell Telephone's $15.1 million rate increase request. Today's hearings were technical. There'll be public hearings in Bismarck tomorrow and the next day. Monday, the hearings will move to Jamestown at 9 a.m., Monday afternoon at 3, and Monday evening at 7. They'll be at the Fargo Civic Auditorium. Testimony was heard in Thief River Falls, Minnesota today on what farmers have labeled a farm crisis in that part of the state. 9 state legislators and representatives of Minnesota's congressional delegation listened to farmers who hope to spark a bipartisan effort to pressure Congress into easing emergency farm credit.
Ties to the land are ready to snap for many people farming in the northwestern corner of Minnesota. 3 and 4 seasons of crop failure out of the past 5 has pushed the delinquency rate on farm loans near 50%. Angry farmers and their representatives say only prompt intervention on Capitol Hill can forestall the inevitable wholesale bankruptcies in the area.
I would remind you that the FHA and other agencies are not supposed to just respond to the minimum degree required of them, but they are to be an advocate for the farmer and others in need, and that has been neglected. And at the federal level, as a glaring illustration of this kind of attitude of disrespect for farmers, the absolute refusal to release emergency funds designated by the Congress of this United States for that purpose.
The president of Minnesota's Farmers Union went on to demand changes be made in outdated farm credit policies to match the changing structure of today's agriculture. He also recommended a state bank be created to establish reserves against losses. The Ag Committee chair in the Minnesota House of Representatives, who called for today's hearing, contends the financial crisis among Minnesota farmers requires the type of resources available only at the federal level.
The fact that we farmers in this area face bankruptcy at a rate of almost 50% of the farmers in this area is reason why the federal government has got to take action. Now, we're here at the state level in a position where I think we can serve as a conduit, if you will, to the federal government to bring pressure on them to take action.
The Little Falls representative is among others who have specifically called upon John Block to push for immediate release of $600 million in funds already appropriated for emergency farm loans and to extend deferrals on existing disaster loans for at least another 5 years. To help with the backlog of loan applications, Farmers Home Administration in Minnesota, for its part, is adding staff at all offices, opening another office in Crookston, and training 2 emergency teams to provide backup assistance in processing the applications. Jerry Saylor, KX4 News, Thief River Falls.
In the weather, we're looking for things to be continued cool for a day or so. Chance of some warm-up here in the next couple of days, perhaps into the 50s, might even be a decent weekend. Let's look first at our satellite picture from this evening. Still shows a band of clouds, kind of a finger hook of clouds there across Minnesota into southeastern North Dakota. The widest band follows that low pressure system and corresponding cold front almost directly south of the Great Lakes to the Gulf Coast. That's where most of the rain activity is occurring, as you can see on our national radar picture. Heaviest rain perhaps in the Kentucky-Tennessee area. High temperatures today, 37 only in Grand Forks, 49 in South Dakota, Sioux Falls, South Dakota, 55 in Chicago, 63 out in Montana, 52 in Seattle-Tacoma. 102 degrees in thermal Arizona today. Looks like it was the nation's high. Tomorrow's temps expected to be in the 40s in Minnesota, 50s in North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Iowa, etc. Looks like we're right on the cusp there between 40s and 50s. Our forecast looks like this. Cold is a good way to describe it. It's not pleasant, but it could get a little better. Sports, big news, the second game of the World Series, Baltimore. It wasn't rained out. The Birds got some revenge. The series is evened up 1-1. Here's a report from David Martin.
Joe Morgan was breaking toward third when Mike Schmidt grounded to Cal Ripken at short in the Phillies' fourth. Ripken's throw to first was dropped by Eddie Murray for an error. With runners at the corners and one out, Joe LaFay hit a fly to deep center. Al Bumbry backpedaled to the fence to pull it down. Morgan tagged up at third and scored after the catch. Schmidt took second. Baltimore KO'd Charles Hudson in the fifth. John Lowenstein, a 15-home run man during the season, slugged a homer over the center field fence. That tied the score. After singles by Rich Dower and Todd Cruz, Rick Dempsey drilled a liner to right. Joe LaFay chased it, but Dower scored from second. Cruz raced to third, and Dempsey wound up at second with a double. Pitcher Mike Boddicker cracked a liner to left. Gary Matthews caught it, but Cruz scored Baltimore's third one after the catch. With 2 outs in the seventh, Cal Ripken's soft single to right drove in John Shelby with the Orioles' fourth run. Meantime, Boddicker, master of the breaking ball, held the Phillies to 3 hits, did not issue a walk, and struck out 6. Baltimore's 4-1 win tied the World Series at 1 game each. Dave Martin for CBS News.
Pretty good pitching by Boddicker, 4-1. Baltimore over Philadelphia, day off tomorrow. They'll open up in Philadelphia, game number 3 on Friday. Other scores we have to look at tonight from the world of National Hockey League. North Stars beat Calgary 7-5. What else, Ed? That's it? No more scores. Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody. We're about out of time anyway, so we'll join you tomorrow with lots more.
KXJB TV, Channel 4, Valley City, with studios in Fargo.
This is Father John Couture of the Christophers with a hopeful fact about sharks. They have chemical defenses that just may hold a clue for scientists who are looking for keys to the conquest of cancer. It's a striking fact that no shark ever captured has had a malignant tumor or a serious infection. Somehow their biochemistry fights off such ills to which humans are prey. What we don't know about the world around us is still a lot bigger than all that we do know. Even the most unlikely creatures of the deep may hold secrets that will prove beneficial to humanity. That may not make you any more comfortable around sharks, but it is a reminder that beneficial knowledge can be found in the most unlikely places. When we deal with our fellow human beings, it might be well to encourage that spark of goodness hidden in every human heart. A pat on the back now and then can do wonders, all of which is another way of saying, better to light one candle than curse the darkness. God bless you.
This completes KXJB TV's telecasting schedule for today. KXJB TV operates on Channel 4 with a visual power of 97.7 kilowatts and an aural power of 10 kilowatts by the authority of the Federal Communications Commission and is owned and operated by North American Communication Corporation. KXJB TV studios are located at 4302 13th Avenue South in Fargo. Our transmitter is located 3 miles east of Galesburg, North Dakota. On behalf of the staff and management, I wish you a very pleasant good night.